crazy news just broke that all UFC fans around the world need to know about, so that's what we're going to go through in today's video. The UFC has just signed a $7.7 billion broadcast deal with Paramount to make Paramount Plus the new home of the UFC starting in 2026. Crazy. The number is crazy. 7.7 billion over 7 years is insane. That's 1.1 billion per year for all you math blasters out there. But that's absolutely insane, the number. And the fact that it's with Paramount as well is also a bit of a curveball. People weren't thinking it was going to be. That came out of nowhere. Fans in the US, because this isn't all of it. We've got a lot more to go through in today's video because there's a lot more components to this deal. Fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model. No more pay-per-views. Now, I know what you're going to say. Real UFC fans over the past year know there hasn't been a pay-per-view since UFC 300. But now there's no more. You may have thought there's not been a pay-per-view since UFC 300, but trust me, guys, now there's no more. Those were considered pay-per-views. Now there's just no pay-per-view in general. You're not going to pay once a month for a big fight with all of the title fights on there. That's just going to be a part of the monthly subscription service, which is really good overall for affordability. So what this means in terms of payment to a lot of fighters that have just signed deals, especially the big name fighters that may have signed deals on the incentive of pay-per-view shares, I don't know what it means for them. I guess that's going to be the next meme to come out. Fighters feel like they've been done wrong with their contract. I was earning more with the pay-per-view percentage. This is going to turn into the sponsorship thing, I feel like, where people are going to talk about the pay-per-view era and how much champs were making. Who knows what they're going to do to adjust the payment based on this, but it's making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. And that much is true. It's always been this way outside of North America, right? Outside of the US and Canada. I mean, TNT Sports is the subscription service in the UK. It used to be BT Sport. Now it's TNT Sports. I pay once a month. I get all the fights with that monthly fee. I don't even know what it is. I think it's $30-something a month. I'm not even sure. I think I can get it as a business expense because this is technically my work to buy the UFC cards. But either way, this is absolutely crazy information, and we're going to go through more in today's video. Pay-per-views are over. UFC announces a new deal with Paramount, $7.7 billion for 7 years. All numbered events will be on CBS for free. That's not true. Or is it? I feel like there's an event. I think on CBS, they're going to do like 4 a year, like they do the UFC on ABC cards. So no, not all numbered events. Well, maybe all numbered events will be on CBS. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But what I know is this. The way that they used to have UFC on ABC this, UFC on ABC Abu Dhabi, UFC on ABC where they did Holloway versus someone, I think, on one of those cards. I think it might have been a Holloway versus Cater card, if I'm not mistaken. But they've had a bunch of UFC on ABC, this and that. That's now going to be UFC on CBS. And that will be the new equivalent. Apparently, they're going to do 4 events a year live on CBS. And then there'll be the pay-per-views, and then there'll be the other events. Pay-per-views now dead. All events will be available as part of a subscription. The UFC and ESPN partnership is over. That's crazy. I never thought the UFC ESPN partnership, well, I did think it was going to come to an end, but I didn't think it was going to come to an end in the way of Paramount Plus. That was out of nowhere. I thought that they were deep in the depths of Prey and John Jones would stick around for the Aspinall fight so they could get a Netflix deal done. Maybe the fact that Jones retired, Netflix just went, yeah, we're out, kid. We're done. You can take Paramount. Or maybe Paramount just forked up a shit ton of money. I can't remember the name of the company that forked out a shit ton of money for South Park recently. It might have been Paramount. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Universal. I'm not sure what it was, but some promotion. But these guys are forking out a shit ton of money, $7.7 billion. This next post is going to really hit home why that's so crazy to me. Dana White, after signing a 7-year, $7.7 billion deal with Paramount, and he's laughing. This is the Mayweather meme with all the money. $7.7 billion in this current climate of the UFC. He might be the greatest businessman of all time. Now, hold on a second here. I don't think Dana's orchestrating the fucking deal, okay? But Crazy business move from Dana White. And you know why it's crazy? And this is why it's so impressive that they've got this $7.7 billion deal. If you were to ask, maybe until like Tapuria beat Oliveira, before that moment, if you were to ask the average UFC fan what they thought about the UFC, they would probably say it's the worst it's ever been. This is the worst it's ever been. It feels like they're mistreating us. All of the things that we've been saying as fans are the type of things that maybe would sway away a $7.7 fucking billion investment for a broadcasting deal from Paramount Plus. But no, Paramount Plus is seeing the negative reaction of fans every single fucking fight card and thinking, we want in on this, okay? So let's not start not roasting the fucking quality of the cards. Now, Paramount's around. They wanted the UFC fan experience. They're going to get the UFC fan experience. Either way, I wanted to hit home that I highly doubt Dana White is the one that's in this business meeting breaking down all of these events. There's just something about it that makes me think that Dana White is not the man calling the shots in the business room. I like to imagine a world where, and here's where we go into my imaginary worlds, where they're all in a business room and they're all talking about what they're going to do and what kind of deal they're going to break, and all the big wigs are there. Hunter Campbell's there with his hand on his chin, sort of going, They're all pondering stuff, and maybe we could chuck in this. And I want to know that I want to have an understanding that Dana White was not on the forefront, but instead was on like a kid's table in the corner of the business room saying, you guys don't want to buy Power Slap? I really hope that's how this went down. That they were saying, yeah, you know, we'll do an event, 4 events a year, we're saying on CBS. You guys, I mean, when are we going to, make it $8 billion, I'll chuck in Power Slap, you guys. And then the guys are like, Paramount are like, no, we're good, Dana, we don't. I mean, come on, you guys, I got these cups made. You guys seen my Power Slap cups? What? You guys don't want Power Slap? You guys are fucking, come on, you guys. And he's just sitting there sort of like swinging his legs in a chair that's too big for him in the corner of the business room. I want to believe that's how this whole thing went down. And only after they were able to shut up Dana's requests of them making a Power Slap arrangement into this deal where he could get that in there as well. I want to believe that only after that was shut down could they proceed with business. And they got this deal done without Dana White. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Dana was at the forefront here. Maybe he was the criminal mastermind of this whole situation. We've got a lot to go through again, though. Dana White put out his own statement. Dana White also had like a picture of himself, if I'm not mistaken, with a cigar in his mouth, I do believe. And this is where it begins. But this is where he posted on Instagram. This historic deal with Paramount and CBS is incredible for UFC fans and our athletes. We're going to get into how good it is for athletes soon. For the first time ever, fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model. Very good. Making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. This deal puts the UFC amongst the biggest sports in the world. The exposure provided by the Paramount and CBS networks under this new structure is a huge win for our athletes and anyone who watches and loves the sports. Odds on Dana chat GPT in that, because that don't sound like Mr. Krabs. That don't sound like Mr. Krabs to me. This is chat GPT. I just don't buy it, dude. I don't want to give Dana his full flowers. I'll give him 1. I'll give Dana a flower, maybe 2. So plurally, technically, I've given him flowers. But I'm not going to give him a bouquet. That just ain't happening here. I sense Mr. Krabs has used some chat GPT to type out things like making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. I don't know about that, you guys. I don't know if that was at the forefront of Dana White's mind when making this deal. But either way, 7.7 billion is a crazy number. I want to bring up this. And this is actually why I needed earphones for this bit. Hang on a second, I'll be back. So this I wanted to go to next, because this is a interesting thing to look back on in hindsight, now that it's just a subscription service and they're not doing pay-per-views anymore. This was Dana White, who was flexing and acting like a mafia boss, basically. around stalking an illegal streamer before Poirier versus McGregor 2. So a while ago now. And I just wanted to play this clip of Dana White talking about this this streamer, okay, that he's caught. And how big of a problem. I want to get across how big of a problem Dana White had with streaming in the UFC and how you should have to pay for the pay-per-views. Only to hit us with a no pay-per-view deal just a couple years later is crazy. But we're going to let this bit play.
Came out and said that, you have all these these people are criminals, you know, and the internet, you know, makes it look like these guys are good guys. These guys are bad guys, and what they do is a lot of these guys will put up these links and say, hey, you know, check out, we'll give it to you for free and all this stuff, and they steal your information.
Like pretty much every government on earth now when it comes to the internet. All good.
Number one. Number two, when I came out and said this, all these guys started taunting me. So I went through and I said, you.
It was Paramount. It was Paramount the whole time. He didn't even realize. Dana White was going through all these streamers, finding ways to not have people pay for the pay-per-view. And he went, you. Paramount Plus. Bring it in, buddy. Time for a $7.7 billion deal. I swear that might be how it went down.
You're the guy.
You're the guy, Paramount Plus.
And I told my people, I want this guy. Wow. And guess what? We got him.
They never got him, but you ain't getting... I'm not going to say their names loud and fucking proud. I'm going to say their names loud and proud, because now we can say their names loud and proud. You ain't getting Streamies. You ain't getting Meth streams. Hey, 4 months left. I may have ruined it, but I'm sounding the fucking horns, dude. You ain't got Streamies. You ain't got Meth streams. You ain't got none of the dogs, okay? People forget, man. MMA Core's been doing this shit for years. Okay, buddy? We can be loud and proud about where we go for our streams. Hey, RIP Crack Streams, though, dude. He was a real one. Maybe that's who Dana White got, but he was more of a conglomerate of a multitude of smaller businesses that were sort of thriving off of the same model that Dana White has a problem with. But, you know, you got to respect all of these dogs, dude. And we have to put respect on the names of those, okay? I'm talking Streamies, Meth streams, Buff streams, anyone under the umbrella of Crack Streams really is what I'm talking about here. I'm even talking way back when, okay? People forget, man, MMA Core, they used to hold it down back in the day. Okay, this is pre-McGregor era stuff. Maybe lost on some of you, but this is when I was a kid. And MMA Core, man, let me tell you, when they used to upload round by round fights, and I used to be waiting there for round 2 to fucking come out, those were the fucking days. So let's not forget the real soldiers of the MMA community over the years that have saved you and me. Well, not me. Not me. You... They may have saved some of you out there, thousands, okay? And they need to be put on because I feel like their clout's going to get, taken away. It feels like what we're doing here is Paramount Plus is Ilya Tapuria. You know? And they're putting him above, certain goats of divisions on a goat list already. This is what's going on with the Paramount stuff. I don't want this to be an Armand Sarukian being above literal goats of a division on a goat list type of situation. You know what I mean? I don't want Paramount Plus coming along in this new era of the game and getting all this credit when the dogs have been fighting in the streets for us for many a decade. I just want to put that out there real quick. You ain't getting none of them, dude. And you didn't get none of them. You just fucking sold out to one of them that's bigger than the rest is basically what this Paramount deal is. But I like it. I think it's good. Paramount deal is $1.1 billion a year for 7 years. ESPN deal was $214 million for 7 years. That's not true. 7.7 years for 7 years is actually wild. The ESPN deal was $1.5 billion for 5 years. So immediately we've got some contradictions here, some juxtapositions when it comes to the reporting here. And then this is the sentence I wanted to get into. Go get your money, fighters. Now, here's where I'm going to have something to say about this. And this is maybe going to be the realest fucking statement that anyone's going to have regarding the situation of the UFC selling to Paramount. How much the fighters are getting paid from this is the least of my fucking worries. I don't give a fuck anymore. I just really don't give a fuck anymore. The inactivity over the past few years, we know what happened when fighters started to get a little bit more cash, a little bit more freedom to choose and do what they want. So we can talk about how this affects people getting pay-per-view shares. Maybe we'll get into that in a second. But I don't know if they should be expecting people to immediately jump to a 30 for 30 contract when they were earning 12 for 12 before. That's the least of my concerns. I'm not going to be one of these guys that sits here and goes, well, what about the fighters? And what about how much are the fighters going to get out of this? I really don't care. I think they're overpaid already, clearly, because most of them are sat out for years on end and being out-hustled in the gym by literal fucking millionaires in Ilya Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan. Clearly, money is not the incentive in the sport. But the pay-per-view side of things is where things are going to get very interesting. What the fuck are these guys going to do now? Because a lot of them have signed deals, multi-fight deals, especially the champions and the big names that aren't champions, like maybe in Israel Adesanya right now or some of the others. A lot of these guys have signed deals where a pay-per-view share is a large reason as to why their deal is good. Like, you might see some of these guys, and this is what the Twitter pages always post. Oh, so-and-so made $1 million for this fight. And I'm like, dude, no, he didn't. He lives in a grand mansion, one of 5 that he owns. He didn't make $1 million. That's his show money. He gets like 5% of the pay-per-view share. So that would be like a large bulk of their money. You hear DC talking about this all the time, how he's still cashing checks from certain things. Even Uriah Faber from back in the day when he used to be on pay-per-views, he was famously on the McGregor, not famously for this, but this is where he said this famously. He was on McGregor's Tough season, McGregor Faber Tough, and he was talking about how he still gets money from one of his old title fights on pay-per-view. So a lot of money gets through, and McGregor was saying, rightfully so, you get your money dripped. You should only get your money when we feel like paying you, yeah? And that's kind of what's going on here. But I feel like it's just going to be a flat... This actually might look better for the UFC. And don't let him famous you. Big announcement, actually. This needs to be made because I know this is going to happen. Don't let them famous you. The show money, the purses that are published to the public will now be way higher than they were before. But the actual payment may be lower. Even though the purse money, which is what's going to be revealed and what is revealed, is going to be way higher, they didn't used to show how much people made with the pay-per-view percentage. Now they're probably going to show everything and it's going to seem crazy. Like, oh my God, he's making $5 million, this guy in a title fight? But just know that there's a little asterisk to that. But this overall is good. The cost is good. Ariel's weighed in on this. He was saying, while most fans are celebrating the death of pay-per-view, and rightfully so, it'll be interesting to see how UFC handles champions with pay-per-view. Exactly. X number of viewers. Fascinating. Yeah, how are they going to measure that? If they don't do pay-per-views anymore, how are they going to measure that, right? They may just look at social media interactions and how many people are live during the fight. And I don't know. That's actually pretty interesting. I don't know how they're going to figure that new thing out. I guess it's going to have to just be like social media and how big of a star. I'm sure there's some fucking boomer way of calculating all of the numbers and finding an optimum number that represents how influential someone is, how important someone is to the business. So I guess that's where things are going to be going from now. But yeah, Paramount Plus subscription will include access to every event. $8 a month is what some people are saying. Via CNBC. Oh, CNBC, CBS. That's what the difference was. That means you can watch every UFC card for as little as... I don't think they're the same thing, CNBC and CBS. Yeah, they're not. Just a bunch of fucking letters in all these fucking corporations. That means you can watch every UFC card for as little as $8 a month. That's pretty crazy pricing. Insane pricing. So that is very good. The UFC's deal with Paramount and CBS includes 43 events per year, 13 numbered events, and 30 fight nights, which I think is what the general standard is. I mean, this would be 43 events, which would be all but one. I mean, how many weekends would that miss? That would miss, what, 9 weekends of the year, 3 of which are probably going to be after December. So that would leave 6 months throughout the year that would be a fight card less than a full 4-week stretch of fight cards for the month. So it's pretty similar to the current. That's about the same, I would imagine, as what we currently have. Dana White, after securing the fucking deal, I know you weren't there on the front lines. I just feel like Dana wasn't there on the front lines, dude. Does anyone else feel that way about this? I think all the big heads, or the big wigs, sorry, are at the front of the table talking business, and Dana's there like, come on, you guys, you didn't see that slap the other day? We do more numbers in the NFL and the NBA combined. This should be an $8 billion deal. Yeah, all right, Dana, we're trying to do the deal here. Come on, you guys. I mean, you ain't seen her. Have you ever been to a power slap event? I feel like he was there trying to push power slap the whole time. It should be mentioned that, is losing pay-per-views actually good? I feel like that was the only thing forcing the UFC to try and occasionally stack cards. What's stopping them from just phoning it in from now every event? That's what they've been doing. Please tell me we aren't going to get Apex numbered events in a year from now. Apparently, they're extending the size of the Apex as well, by the way. That needs to be mentioned, and we're probably going to get to that in these last few slides, but apparently they're actually extending the Apex size. So I hate the fucking Apex. Get out the Apex, but they love it, I guess. I guess it makes it easier for the Contender Series as well, but I don't know. I just feel like if it's not open to the public when it comes to making there more availability to the Apex, you just create a rich kids club in the crowd, And I know that's what it already is with crowded arenas, is like a rich kids club of people who actually get to go there and have good seats. But if all the seats are good and there's a limited amount of them and there's high demand, it's just going to be going to the highest bidders, and there won't be no proper MMA fans in the Apex crowd. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know what is stopping them from just phoning it in for every event now. They got their $1.1 billion a year. They don't need to try it for 7 years. They've got their lifeline. So I am concerned about that. I hope that they up the ante and we start getting better fights. But I guess that's going to come down to activity at the end of the day, man. These fighters are fighting once a year, clearly overpaid. And yeah, it's interesting stuff. Dana White was also saying that the UFC plans to hold 4 big events per year under the new rights deal. I don't like this. Oh, I didn't turn the fucking audio on. Oh, it's not recording audio. I played the clip before, and I'm going to have to go back and put the audio
in. What can you tell us about how much the UFC will be on CBS, linear TV, with the country watching?
Yeah, it's looking like we're going to do 4 big events a year. And, we're talking about...
I don't like that, by the way. It's looking like we're going to do 4 big events. Can we push for 5? Maybe 6? I think he's talking about being on CBS. So people might be looking at that headline and saying, 4 big events? What the fuck? That's more than we're getting right now. But I think he's talking about specifically on CBS. So when they're going to basically be the new oil princes of the UFC, where if they're having a card, Dana's like, trust me, we're going to get absolute goats on the prelims of that while we're left with dog shit on the regular fight nights. But, maybe it'll be good. Maybe they'll be able to balance it. Maybe there's is this the UFC hedging their bets against the idea that they don't really have any stars anymore? They have Ilya Topuria, don't they? But they don't have any superstars at the top, like Conor McGregor or, imagine if the star Adesanya could have been if he was more consistently entertaining and won a bit more, I guess, as well. Or Pereira if he kept going and just knocked out Ankalaev. There were so many stars on the horizon that just weren't quite there. I don't think Adesanya ever could have been that level of star, though. He's just too corny. But yeah, I just feel like the UFC was maybe hedging their bets away from that. We don't have any stars. We're sick of trying to make stars out of these boring cunts that don't want to fight and are being absolute divas when they get to a top 5 of a division. These guys have never heard of a title elimination bout. They just sit there once they hit the top 5 and wait for their shot and wait for their champion to get round to him after 2 years of his fucking cycle of the division. Either way, This is big. I just hope it's not... I hope they don't just focus on those ABC cards or the CBS cards, sorry. Starting to get some more clarity on the breakdown of events from CBS and Paramount Plus. Dana White told CBS Sports HQ it's looking like 4 events. A year's on CBS. A year on CBS. So if my reading is correct, it sounds like 4 big numbered events on big CBS and the rest of the numbered shows on Paramount Plus, yeah. Which makes sense because they obviously want people to subscribe. Very true. Mark Shapiro hinted that the vast majority of the numbered shows would be on CBS, but this would make more sense. So 4 of the pay-per-views a year are going to be on CBS. That's the deal. Hunter Campbell confirmed an expansion of the Apex to accommodate 5,000 to 10,000 fans. That's pretty big, actually. That's bigger than I thought the expansion was going to be. And I do agree. I'm not just going to read Ariel's fucking opinion on it. I didn't realize that. I thought he was adding more information, but he's giving an opinion. I agree. I honestly agree. This is better. I just wish we were back in crowded events all the time. But, you know, we're splitting hairs. Can we do less Apex events? I know we can't have everything. Just less Apex events. Give me a couple less with this deal. This deal, give me a couple less. Give me 4 less a year. 4 less Apex events a year. Put the crowd in there for the other ones. I just feel like it's not a full arena. They don't fucking try to sell the fucking card because they know it won't sell. So... we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. This is going to be a we'll see kind of situation on how the UFC reacts to making this hell of a deal. Yeah, they were surprised that the UFC rights were not split up amongst different outlets. However, worth noting, no mention of Contender Series or Tough, for that matter, in the release. Don't worry. I don't think anybody wants Tough, okay? Even though this season's been good, they just had 2 robberies back-to-back. I ain't fucking interested in it anymore. No one's trying to fucking buy Tough. Paramount Plus is paying him an extra $700,000 on top of the $7 billion, so they wouldn't bring up the Ultimate Fighter. Dana White was there. What about Tough, you guys? We got DC and Chael on there this year. Come on, Juliana Pena was just a guest coach, for crying out loud. Come on. What's it gonna take, you guys? And I feel like they just said, yeah, shut up. We'll give you an extra $700K. Don't ever talk about Power Slap or Tough ever again. Let us talk to Hunter Campbell. So we'll see. That's all the news. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. We'll see what happens with the UFC at Paramount Plus, and CBS in general. Paramount in general. And we'll see what that does for the company. We'll see what it does. More affordable. Yes. Lower value? Don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm concerned. I feel like everything over the years has been going up in cost and down in value. Now they're just giving it to us for $8 a month. Intriguing stuff. We shall see. We shall see how the cards start looking. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.